Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Tyler from the Keep Pounding podcast. The draft is over. What a weekend it has been, man. It's what a hell of a draft order to go into it. But hope you guys are having a good week. I took the first day off of the draft on Thursday. Took the day off and smoked some pork butt, made some shredded pork uh, sandwiches, carnita tacos, did the whole thing. Did homemade queso dip, salsa verde, homemade. So we went all out at my house, and then had some family over, watched the draft, and had some beers, and really enjoyed it. So we're gonna dive into the content. I want to kind of go over just the grades for every Panthers pick that we had this past weekend. And then what were the best value pick? Well, to me, I'm gonna kind of go over what I feel is the best pick that for the best value, and were there any reaches in this draft? Which rookies that I feel like will make an immediate impact, and then how this draft fits the Panthers' overall roster strategy. We'll kind of go over their any weaknesses after the draft. What are still areas that possibly Dan Morgan and company can address, and then overall draft grade for the Panthers this draft year. So we're to get into it. Again, if you're new to the podcast, if you're not subscribed, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, get in the comments, and let me know what your thoughts are as far as how you thought the draft went, and what was your favorite pick, and who do you think, what positions do we still need to address? So let's get into how the Panthers did. We're to go into specifically each. I want to go into each draft pick and just kind of explain what my thoughts are, what I liked, grade each player, and then if you guys want to chime in and get in the comments, get in the chat, and just let me know what your thoughts are. That way we can have a fun discussion. So let's talk about the first draft pick, which is Monroe Freeling. So this, to me, wasn't surprising at all. It wasn't surprising at all. Monroe, specifically for offensive tackle, I know certain people wanted to get. I wonder why my filter is messed up here. That's weird. Oh, I know why. Hold on. There we go. Okay. So offensive tackle wasn't a big deal. Was something that I thought the Panthers would attack. A lot of people wanted Mekhi Lemon. I get it. A lot of people wanted Dylan Thieneman. I understand that as well, but offensive tackle just makes sense for several reasons. You have obviously Ike Ekwonu that's out with a patellar tendon rupture that he had repaired. He had that during the Rams game, and he may not even play this year. If he does play, it'll probably be the last several games of the season, but it seems very likely that he's probably not going to play this year. Obviously, there's a lot of time till then, so we'll find out. But I think a lot of it depends on obviously how he responds to rehab, getting back to strength, because we all know an offensive lineman, a severe knee injury is an issue. Sometimes they don't come back from those type of injuries. So given that fact, given the fact that in a couple of years, Taylor Moton's out of here most likely, and we're spending $80 million plus on the offensive line, it just makes sense that we have to get younger and cheaper. And when you are sitting at 19 and you have a left tackle prospect that you feel like could be a long-term solution, you take that. So, and a lot of people were like, do we really take the best player available? So let's define best player available, right? Best player available, a part of it, there's multiple analytics to this, a lot of data. One of them is obviously who's the better player, who position value, right? Is the left tackle more important than a safety? Yes. Obviously the direction they want to go to. So everybody's board is going to be different. So it makes sense that we go offensive tackle here. But this guy, Monroe Freeling, this guy is a beast, dude. And I'm surprised. I thought he was going to go a lot earlier in the first round. But this is a guy that has a lot of upside at that position. He's huge. He's athletic. He's a really athletic tackle who's still developing. He's but really started to break out last season. He's 6'7", 315 pounds. He's got that prototypical size you're looking for. He's got the movement skills to match that size. He's pretty light on his feet. He moves well laterally and get out to the second level, which really shows on tape. Now, in pass protection, that's where you saw the biggest jump. He's only allowed 2 sacks with an 85 plus pass blocking grade. And then when you watch his tape last year in Georgia, you can actually see the growth throughout the season, which is exactly what you want in a young offensive tackle. He brings versatility with it. He's played both left and right tackle. We noticed, and if you guys remember last year when we had several injuries along the offensive line, we had a lot of switch ups. We had a lot of different offensive line rotations. Now, when you have a versatile offensive tackle, that's what adds value to Monroe Freeling. And there's a few other tackles that play that way as well, where they could play both left and right. When you have that versatility, it's going to make you more valuable. Now, flipping to the concerns, he's still pretty raw, right? He only had 1 full year as a starter, 13 games as a starter, so obviously limited experience. The run blocking can be inconsistent. That's where I feel like he needs to improve the most. He had a 61 PFF run blocking grade. He can also struggle with leverage and balance, and think he can add a little bit more strength to his game. So when you step back and look at the full picture, this guy is a high reward developmental tackle. He's played over 700 snaps, allowing minimal pressure. If it all comes together, you're looking at a guy who could become a long-term starter at tackle. So this is someone that he may not start right away. He may not start right away, and that's okay. It's okay if he doesn't start right away. I do think it wouldn't shock me if he does start week 1, but also wouldn't shock me if he doesn't start week 1. It's really gonna be interesting to see how Monroe and Rashid Walker have that battle in camp. I do think eventually during the season he will become the starter. It's just a matter of how he plays and develops throughout not just OTAs and training camp, but preseason and into the season. So once Joe Gilbert and Brad Idzik feel comfortable placing him as a starter, I think he'll eventually make his way in as a full-time starter there. So this is someone again that has a lot of upside. This guy, if he puts it together, he's going to be an all-pro left tackle. And again, this is something that just makes sense. You're spending $80+ million at the offensive line. You got injuries at the left tackle with Ike Ekwonu injured. He's probably not going to come back. You have Rashid Walker that you're only paying $4 million for. That's cheap backup left tackle money. Like I know he can eventually get up to $10 million in incentives, but it's only $4 million guaranteed. So there wasn't really a market out for them. I know he had some off the field issues, but if he was really that good, which he's a decent stopgap guy, but I do think that it's a good, strong possibility that Monroe Freeling does take Rashid Walker's spot. It wouldn't surprise me again if it was week 1 of the season, but also wouldn't surprise me if it was like week 5, week 6, and he slowly starts to work his way into the rotation. So this is a in my grade as far as the position that we attacked, the skill set. I really felt like this wasn't surprising to me. I wanted an offensive tackle. I wasn't sure which one we would get, but I feel like that's what we were to come away from was offensive tackle, and it just makes sense. But I was hoping that we would get somebody that can play both left and right side. So if Taylor Moton does get injured or Rashid Walker gets injured and he's not starting, he can fill that role. So A for Monroe Freeling. Now, the people that were mentioning before, I've had people that were upset that we didn't get Mekhi Lemon. And you have to look at like, okay, does the Mekhi Lemon make us a better wide receiver room? Absolutely he does, right? But how much are we going to utilize him? How much will he impact the game? We already have a wide receiver 1 in T-Mac. We already have a solid wide receiver 2 in Jalen Coker. Hopefully he can stay healthy. But if he can play to how he was playing again in the Rams game, there's no room for Mekhi Lemon in, as far as like starting role 1 and 2. Now, again, would he make our room better? Absolutely. But if we did pick him up, it would start to change my thoughts, which I'm going to kind of go into in a little bit later, but it would change my thoughts as far as, are we really going to be a run-first football team, which is what Dave Canalson, we've always keep hearing is where he wants to run the football and he wants to be a run-first football team. Well, you've got to make sure that your offensive line is strong. If you don't have a strong offensive line, you're not going to be a run first team. So we were one injury away of having Stone Forsythe as a left tackle. If we didn't pick up Monroe Freeling and Rasheed Walker was injured, you would have got Stone Forsythe, who's probably the worst, guaranteed the worst starting left tackle in the NFL. The worst starting left tackle. This is a guy that you want maybe as depth, but it's someone that you would prefer that on the practice squad. He's not that great. Look at his PFF grades. He's not that great. Now let's get into the second round pick. So this is something that I wasn't too shocked about, and it makes sense because Dave Canales mentioned that he always wants to be strong in the trenches. So he attacked the offensive line. Now he's attacking the defensive line, and it makes sense. You have Ashawn Robinson that we let go due to cap reasons in free agency. So now you have Bobby Brown III and Turk Wharton, and we all remember Turk Wharton being out at least half the year last year. So Ashawn Robinson was very productive for us last year, and so we're definitely missing a guy that could take his spot, and Lee Hunter does that. So this guy is a big, powerful interior defensive lineman. He's 6'3", around 330. He's one of the better run stuffers in this class. He projects, to me, he's more of a plug and play, early down defensive tackle. But the biggest thing that I really like for him, the biggest strength that I think he has is just the run defense. He's really got a strong anchor. He eats up double teams, which obviously helps up our linebackers. So it helps Devin Lloyd, Trevin Wallace, Nick Scorton, Jalen Phillips. And he's able to take on double teams to free those guys up to be able to play better football. He's constantly forces runs to bounce outside. He's a really, again, strong, powerful guy, thick lower body. He wins with leverage, controls the line of scrimmage. He's also someone that can have some disruptive ability. He's quick off the snap. And he can get into the backfield and create tackles for loss. His hand usage is solid. It helps him shed blocks and stay effective inside. And he's experienced, played in multiple programs. He's produced consistently. But the biggest concern I have with Lee Hunter, it's not a big one, but it's more he needs to develop a pass rush. He had 7 sacks during his career in Texas Tech against one of the best run defensive team in the nation last year. But this is somebody that, he's not the biggest athlete. Like, he's not this is just somebody that is going to clog the middle. That's going to open things up for the rest of the defenders. It's going to be very difficult running on this team with Derek Brown, Lee Hunter, Bobby Brown III, Turk Wharton, if he can stay healthy. That's a really good, solid rotation that you have up front. And this is someone that I think will start week 1. I really think this will be somebody that's going to start over Turk Wharton or Bobby Brown. Again, like maybe on obvious passing downs, you don't put him in there. You're putting in maybe Turk Wharton instead. But early downs, this is someone that I think will start right away. But again, overall, athletically, he's more average. But this is if you need help stopping the run, he's the guy. I don't think he's going to be at least not right now. He's not a 3-down pass rusher, defensive tackle, but overall he's going to be a reliable early down defensive tackle with a solid floor. So I give this an A+. This is something that, again, Dan Morgan has preached that he wants to be strong in the trenches, and you have to be, you have to be strong on both sides of the football, both on offensive line and defensive line. You can't let people get pressure on the quarterback all the time, and you can't let the quarterback sit in the pocket all day long either. Stone Forsythe would be the next guy on the offensive line. Yes. I don't think he'd be that bad, but he's bad. Nick Scott was like above average overall. Like, I know his coverage wasn't great, but he was above average at free safety as far as PFF grades. But Stone Forsythe is at the bottom. You do not want this guy starting for you at all. You don't want him to be on the 53. Okay. Now let's go into our third round pick, which was Tennessee's wide receiver Chris Brazzell II. So Chris, he's a big play vertical receiver. He's 6'5", around 200 pounds. He has elite speed and upside, in my opinion. He was taken in the third, pick 83. And this is somebody this is a skill set that the Panthers haven't had in a long time. It's someone that can stretch the field, a deep threat, right? Now, what I like about him is he has rare size and speed. He's a legit deep speed, stretch the field type of guy. He's really good at tracking the ball, adjusting in the air, makes him dangerous on deep shots. In contested situations, he can play above the rim and win in the red zone. So you have T Mac, that's I believe 6'4", Jalen Walker 6'3". Now you have Chris Brazel at 6'5". That's going to give you some solid weapons in the red zone. He had really good, solid production last year, over 1,000 yards receiving, 9 touchdowns. I still think there's still some developmental upside, like he can still develop as a route runner. Now, outside of Tennessee used him just vertically, just on some slants and a lot of goes, right? I forget where he went before. I think it was Tulane, but they used him a lot more, and I think that's why he kind of dropped. I do think that if he can be consistent, the way he was producing like in college, but if he can really have a full route tree, which I do think, Dave Canales is a wide receiver coach by nature. He really knows how to, and he obviously loves big wide receivers, like when he had Mike Evans at the Bucks. But I think that they could develop him, and this is somebody that could be this could be a very scary wide receiver group in the years to come, man. It really can. But the biggest concern again is the route tree that he was asked to do in Tennessee. Can he develop and extend that route tree to be able to play for the Panthers, which I think he can. He just wasn't asked to run run the full route tree. Again, a lot of goes, a lot of slants. He's not a big yak guy. He's more of a vertical long strider, than a twitchy playmaker. Yeah, even at his size, he needs to get stronger. I did think he did struggle a little bit at physical press coverage on man, and consistently has been up and down throughout last year. But for the Panthers, this is just strictly a stretching weapon for us, being able to have a player that can open up the field a little bit, which is again something we have lacked in a while. This is something that we have Jimmy Horn. I still want to use Jimmy Horn. I hope they continue to give him opportunities. And I did think like they didn't really use him that well throughout the year. They were starting to use him towards the last game of the season and into the playoffs a little bit better. But this is somebody that I think can be wide receiver 3. I think he's wide receiver 4 right now. But this pick puts XL on notice. If XL needs to understand that, I think I still think that he has an opportunity for the Panthers may still give an opportunity, but I just don't see them giving them that. They can say to the blue in the face that we still want him to grow and develop, and we still believe in XL, but the writing is on the wall from what I see. You had Jalen Coker beat you out of wide receiver 2 towards the end of the year, and it should have happened earlier than that. And now you're drafting Chris Brazel, and he still has the same similar skill set as XL. And to be fair, XL, they didn't really utilize him that well, right? They didn't utilize him that well. And he mentioned that during the 4th and 1 podcast with Cam Newton, which I felt was a bad look. I mean, we all, as true Panther fans, would agree that they didn't put him in the best position to succeed, to run. He's more of a vertical guy. He's not a guy that he's not the Deebo Samuel. He's not a Deebo Samuel. He needs to go vertical, and he doesn't have quick acceleration speed, but once you get to that speed, once he gets to the second level, he's dangerous. And I think if they used him correctly, which who knows, Brad Idzik could do a better job in play calling, because I did think Dave Canales was very passive, very conservative. But this pick really puts XL on notice. And it wouldn't surprise me if there's a wide receiver needy team during OTA's training camp that there's injuries that's looking for a wide receiver, that, if there's an opportunity, I do think Dan Morgan and the staff will explore that. I really do. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I like your content too. Appreciate it. Iron sharpens iron. I love your content as well. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. Excel done, in my opinion. When and what was Brazel? Brazel was third round, and he's arguably better, and he hasn't put. Yeah. Well, and also one thing that people aren't really paying attention to is obviously Excel has issue with drops. Um, the Chris Brazel has very low drop percentage. Now, again, there were times where XL was wide open and Bryce Young didn't target him. But at the same time, you should, as a wide receiver, you need to have that continuity with your quarterback. And you admitted that you didn't do that. So I think the writing's on the wall with XL that he's probably going to be out of here. Now, he could play this year, but I think it'll be a very limited role. I think eventually you'll see him out of Charlotte. That's just my opinion. But hey, if it would be great if they gave him opportunities and he was developing. Hey, the back's against the wall, and they're like, hey, we don't think. Pretty much, they're saying like you're not where you should be. We're drafting people, and we're having people go above you in the depth chart. Maybe this will wake you up. But at the same time, to be fair, I do think that the Panthers could do a better job from a play calling perspective too. That's funny. that's funny. Mike Jack Strand should have been used over Haynes King. We're going to talk about Haynes King in a minute. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with the other quarterbacks, but we'll talk about Haynes King. But it did make sense that they're looking for a long-term QB2. They want someone that's athletic that can run the ball. But they only signed Kenny Pickett to a 1-year deal, so we'll see. But yeah, I'm gonna talk about him in a little bit. All right, so let's go into round 4 where we selected Texas A&M cornerback Will Lee. So this is I was excited about this, and I need to deep dive a little bit more into this, but as far as like versatility, but just what I've seen on film and what I've read as well is this guy is obviously he's a long athletic corner, right? The Dan Morgan and Dave Canales have a type. He's 6'1", he's lengthy, but he is what confused me was he's one of the better press man specialists in this class. He excels. That's his biggest strength is press man, and we don't play a lot of press man. We play more coverage. We play a lot of cover 3, right? We're within one of the as far as defenses go, we play the most cover 3 in the NFL. But this guy is definitely, to me, has high upside. He can be a high upside corner that could possibly have starter potential. Again, very good in man coverage. He's got quick feet, fluid in the hips. He's able to stay in phase with receivers. He's physical. He fits that mold again with those long arms. He's competitive. The Panthers typical defensive player that they want. Someone that plays with an edge, aggressive, physical. That's what they want, and that's who Will Lee is. He's also a high effort guy, has a high motor, constant high motor. He's competitive, and even in the run support, he's very good as well. He's an explosive guy. Yeah, he had really good broad jump, 42-inch vert, very explosive guy. I know he's got some versatility. I just don't know how much he's played from outside corner to nickel. And that's what I was kind of looking for this draft as far as, and again, I'll kind of go over the overall draft grade at the end, but I felt like nickel can Will Lee possibly fill that nickel role at all? Could he possibly help out with that? I don't want Shaw Smith-Wade at nickel this year, please. I know Corey Thornton helped out a little bit last year when he was when Shaw was injured, and he did really well, but then Corey got injured. But can Will possibly help with that? But the biggest concern, and not a big concern because we don't play man and we play coverage, but obviously he doesn't have long top end speed. So if he gets beat deep, he doesn't have that extra gear to recover. But again, in zone, that you don't really need that. But what really bothered me was when I was watching tape and then what I'm reading as far as his, analysts of how he is as a player. He struggled in zone, and that's what we play. He was a little inconsistent. They said like eyes wander. Again, I'm not a big film guy, but I try to watch some film and get an idea. But eyes are wandering, can lose track of assignments. He can get a little grabby. Had some penalties last year. Tackling. He tries to be, go for the big hit versus wrapping up. And I think that's obviously something simple that they can clean up during OTAs and training camp. But again, this is a guy that fits the mold. Can play physical. He's aggressive, but he'll need development and zone, in my opinion. But overall, I think this is a solid day 2 pick that has pretty good upside. So I was excited about this, but it'll be interesting to see how they use him. Will it be more, could it be in nickel? Could it be in the box? Could it be outside corner depth? That's what I'm interested to see. So again, you have Mike Jackson that's out after this year. Most likely, we're probably not going to give him a long term contract. Could this be somebody that competes for that CB2 position? So if he can develop well, maybe that could be something that he can develop into. Let's see. Our Carolina Panthers were high on QB Jack Strand, Minnesota. Okay. Yeah, I don't know who grabbed him. I don't know if somebody grabbed him before we did. But I know that they did check out Haynes as well, but I didn't really pay too much into the undrafted free agent prospects. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, if you're not subscribe to the channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, leave a comment. Just a growing podcaster that's trying to develop and develop a community that can talk to you guys every time I go live. It's a lot of fun. It's not fun when no one's here and I don't get to go back and forth with you guys. I want to be able to get people in here, have a healthy, good debate, and because I'm not always right. I know I'm not always right. My wife would tell you that. So I appreciate you guys. I really do. So Atlanta signed him. Okay, makes sense. Well, if Atlanta signed him, he's garbage, right? He's garbage anyway. He's always been trash. Okay. Now, I want to go into my favorite pick of the draft. This guy, I don't know how he fell in the 5th round. I don't know how he fell, but I will take it. Sam Heck from Kansas State, the center. We needed a center long term. And again, it makes sense. In the 3rd round, I was like, please pick up Sam Heck. Because I thought this guy, was 3rd round at the worst 4th round. I have no idea how he fell to the 5th round. I get he's a center, but this is somebody that could easily, not no shade to Luke Fortner, but this is someone that could easily become a starting center week 1. Now, I think he'll have to earn it, obviously, but this is someone that could potentially start week 1, but this is our long-term center. Again, it makes sense. We need to get cheaper and younger at this position. And, I know it's too early, but again, Taylor Moton's only here till 2027. Robert Hunt's been injured. We're spending a lot of money. It's still a possibility next year during the draft that we can get an offensive lineman. I'm just saying. So, but this was a huge pickup. As far as where we got him in the 5th round and his value and what I think he is as a player, best value pick to me, it's got to be the best value pick in the draft, period. But definitely for the Panthers, the best value pick. Now, Sam, he's a really reliable center, ton of experience in Kansas State, elite pass protection, and extremely consistent. He is, very dependable. And the biggest thing for him is the pass protection. He's finished his college career with 0 sacks allowed over 1,500 plus snaps, which is obviously extremely rare. He also plays with great discipline, good technique, even when full seasons. Was it 1 or 2? I know he went at least 1 full season without a penalty. I think it might have been multiple. I want to say it was multiple, but don't quote me on it. But he went at least 1 full season without a penalty. He's 6'4", 303 pounds, extremely athletic. He does, and this is someone that's prototypical like zone scheme. This fits the mold for what we need as a center. Again, he's played multiple years at Kansas State. He's seen a lot of football. Now, could he get a little stronger and powerful? Yes. Could he struggle against some top defensive tackle bull rushers? Maybe, but I think he can develop into a really good center. I don't think he needs that much adjustment as far as going the next level. They say from what I've read, he's really good as far as IQ, kind of like figuring out what the defensive line is going to do as far as stunts, blitzes, disguises. Um, he's also played a little bit of guard as well, so he's versatile, which is a big you know trade as well. We need that. We need versatility on the offensive line. That's going to make you more valuable. But this is someone that has a high floor, very, very, very high floor. This is someone that just is going to be a really good starter in the NFL. But the question is his ceiling. Can he hold up the physically top defensive tackles? I think he can and will eventually do that. But overall, extremely happy with this pick. I think he will start week 1. This is one of the players as far as like, and I mentioned this earlier in the video. Who do I think will start eventually week 1? I do think it will be Monroe Freeling. I do think it will be um, Lee Hunter and Sam Hecht. I think those are going to be the 3 starters. I do think Chris Brazzell can be wide receiver 3, but I think he'll eventually be well, I think we'll see that during the camp, but wide receiver 3 or 4, I don't know if he'll start right away, obviously, with us having T-Mac and Jalen Coker. But love this pick. Love this pick. I agree, Darkness. Steal the draft. I love what they did. And I cannot believe I was so mad in the 4th round. I hope I was mad. I hope that, Will Lee will be a great corner, but when we picked him, I was so mad because I wanted Sam Heck. I didn't think he'd be available in round 5, but here we are. So it is the steal of the draft. Definitely the highest value pick that the Panthers had this past weekend. And as far as value picks, I think we were second in the NFL, maybe even first, but I think at least second in the NFL when it came to draft pick and value as far as the consensus board. And I know the consensus board, like it's just like consensus among in different outlets. I know that the consensus board that we used and the one that say the 49ers have, totally different, right? But as far as like value, we were top 2 when it came to draft pick value. So Dan Morgan did a hell of a job. Hell of a job. Now let's get into our next round pick, the 6th round pick, Kansas State center Sam. Penn State safety Zachy Wheatley. So this is another player that I actually was very surprised that fell to the 5th round. I think in most mock drafts they had him no later than the 4th round. There's a lot of he was pretty much a day 2 pick. I'm surprised he was still available day 3. But this is a very highly productive safety. He has really good instincts, playmaking ability. He can play the game in multiple different ways, especially in coverage. But the biggest strength that I see on tape is his instincts and range. He's always around the football, great awareness, and cover a lot of ground as a single high safety. He can play 2 high or even in the slot, which is what I like. Again, this a player that can possibly play that nickel position. I would love to see Zachy Wheatley beat out Shaw Smith-Wade at the nickel corner position during the offseason. So can he play at a better level than Shaw Smith-Wade? Because I still think that was one of the biggest weaknesses on the defense outside of pressure rate, right? Shaw Smith-Wade just got picked on all the time. But he does bring a physicality to this defense. He's a big hitter. He plays downhill. He's got a high motor. He had high PFF grades across the board, both in coverage and run defense. Now, tackling can be a little inconsistent. Again, he wants to have the big hit, but instead of wrapping up. But again, that could be something that Evero and this coaching staff can fix during the offseason. He does have a smaller frame, so adding some strength is going to be important. He doesn't have top end elite speed, but again, it's not that significant when you're playing zone. In man coverage, he can be a little stiff, but we don't play that much in man. But overall, this is a versatile safety, a lot of playmaking ability. This is someone that just has really good instincts that can make again that playmaking ability. So if we're able to get some pressure on the quarterback, having them sit in zone, I think this is somebody that can challenge Shaw Smith Wade at nickel and someone that can add depth at safety. And maybe Darkness would be excited to see him get exactly. Could this be someone that could beat Nick Scott in the offseason? maybe, maybe. Again, Nick Scott, I know a lot of people don't like, I know Darkness specifically doesn't like him, but this is a Nick Scott. You can get worse. But again, Nick Scott, one more year. I don't think you need to worry about him after this year. But I did think this during the draft, I did think we were going to get a safety a little earlier, but I do like the value with this pick. And then with the players that we got, because I did think we'd get a safety day two, but with the players we got, I'm okay with us not getting one. Lathan Ramson could step up. That could possibly take over Nick Scott's spot. Lathan Ramson played well last year, but Zachy Wheatley could compete for that spot as well. Shaw Smith can tackle. He's too slow and he just looks lost when he's needed most in zone. He's the amount of times I'd tell. Yeah, Shaw. Well, he gets beat by bigger corners. He's smaller. He's like 5'10", 185 pounds. He just got bullied a lot, and that's something that I think the Panthers can improve upon, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And then I didn't have much on Jacob. I couldn't find that much information on him. But basically, from what I read, that he's going to be a special teamer. Could he add some depth behind Trevin Wallace? Possibly. But this was more of a guy that they valued on special teams. Again, I really couldn't find that much information. I couldn't even find that much tape to really watch on him, so I can't really give you a full analysis. But during the press conferences, when he was asked about Jacob Kuwach, which I think that's how, I hope I didn't butcher his last name, Kuwach. I hope I don't butcher it. But this is somebody that will just probably that will hopefully contribute in special teams or just be a body. So that's the draft picks. Now, undrafted free agents. We did sign Georgia Tech QB Haynes King. So they gave him a $250,000 guaranteed contract, which is obviously rare for undrafted free agents. We gave a contract like that to Jalen Coker back in 2024. Last year we gave one to I believe three. It was Bam Martin Scott, Jacoby George, and Kobe Hudson, which they were all practice squad guys, but they obviously think highly of him, that he potentially can be a QB2 either this year or next year. Because again, Kenny Pickett is only signed a 1-year deal, but so they're trying to find a future replacement of Kenny Pickett. Now this guy, he's a dual threat. He has dual threat ability. He can use his legs, extend plays, create when things break down. He is a weapon in the run game. He had over 500 rushing yards. Double-digit touchdowns, specifically in the red zone. His completion percentage wasn't bad. He had 73% completion rate, kept the interceptions low. He brings a toughness to this team. He was well respected in the locker room. He plays through injuries. But the biggest concern was just his passing ability, as far as can he make the consistent NFL throws. Again, pretty decent completion rate. Low interceptions. He had just under 3,000 passing yards, 14 touchdowns, and then the rushing touchdowns was actually 15. So this is someone that could possibly, and I saw Rashad actually mention this on Twitter, the podcaster from PNP, talk about, could this be our Taysom Hill? It could be. This could be our Taysom Hill guy. Like, we could run three QBs and use him as a gadget weapon in certain situations, whether it's at the red zone or if it's 4th and 1 or 4th and inches, kind of like New Orleans did. So he's a developmental backup. He's going to bring, I think he could bring value to the team and creative packages. But I do like this pick. I do like this pick a lot, or this pickup. Now, I still think we have some weaknesses. Nickel corner that I talked about earlier. I'm not a fan of Shaw Smith Wade still being there at nickel. It's going to be interesting to see him and hopefully Zachy Wheatley, maybe even Will Lee, Corey Thornton battle that out in camp. It'll be interesting to see that. I do think free safety is still a weak link. Nick Scotta is pretty good in run defense, but he's a liability in coverage. You can't debate that. He is a liability in coverage. So I know a lot of people are wanting Dylan Thieneman in round one specifically because they felt like he would be an immediate impact guy. But again, safety, you have to look at positional value. Safety isn't nearly as important as left tackle. So that's why I was happy that we went Monroe Freeling versus Dylan Thieneman. Inside linebacker, we still have Trevin Wallace. Now, Trevin Wallace was getting better last year, specifically in coverage, but run defense, he was brutal, dude. Brutal. So he's had back-to-back seasons with back-to-back injuries. And, I still think that you can upgrade at that position. Now, we obviously had Devin Lloyd. That's going to help a lot, but I still think you can upgrade at that position. And then offensive line depth. Again, you have Rasheed Walker at left tackle. Now you have Monroe Freeling at left tackle, or he can play both left and right. You have Sam Heck that could be a depth in center. He can also play guard, but I still would feel like I would still like us to sign Brady Christensen to another 1-year deal. Someone that can play all positions, because again, last year our offensive line group, there's a lot of injuries, and would feel a lot more comfortable getting another lineman or two that's versatile, you can plug in and not be a significant downfall if there's an injury. Now, the overall grade I give it an A-. I think it was a solid draft as far as who we got, where we got them at. Great value for all these picks. I thought that we would address nickel corner, a player that we could plug and play and replace Shaw Smith-Wade. I felt like we did a lot of homework looking for those guys, and we didn't come up. I thought we would do that in day 2. But again, there may be a couple guys. Again, we talked about before, Will Lee the third, Zachy Wheatley, Corey Thornton. Those can be, guys that can compete at that spot. But that's why I only gave it an A-. But overall, this was a hell of a draft. And PFF gave it an A+. Back-to-back drafts, A+. Dan Morgan, Brand Tillis have done a great job identifying talent, and just the whole team, right? The identifying talent, attacking weaknesses, being smart and calculated with their decision making. I really feel like we have a really good front office that knows what they're doing. And even if there's a pick, I'm like, is that the right pick? I just trust these guys now. They've proven over and over again that they are making the right decisions. So I was extremely pleased with this draft. But let me know what you guys thought. Who was your favorite player that we drafted this past weekend in the NFL draft? Who did you like? Who did you not like? What positions do you feel like we need to attack this offseason? Because I don't think Dan Morgan's done yet. There's still we can still have a couple of depth signings coming up. We have OTAs. Actually, that's a good, now that I'm thinking about that, I wonder when OTAs start for the Panthers. I know it's usually late May. Let's see. So our offseason program, we already started the offseason program, but OTAs, May 26th, 27th, 29th, and June 1st, 2nd, and 4th. So that is May 20th. So that's in 4 weeks. All right, because you have OTAs, you're going to have mandatory minicamp, and then you're going to have training camp. The mandatory minicamp, I think, is June 9th. Yeah, June 9th to the 11th. So before then, I'm gonna make a depth chart, just kind of like a rough draft depth chart as far as where I think where we're at and what needs we can still attack. So thank you guys for watching. Dom, Darkness, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. All day threes and TDs. I appreciate your nice words as well. And thank you for liking the channel. Thank you for subscribing, guys. I really appreciate the support. But again, I'm going to try to be a little bit more consistent coming on Mondays. I need to just, I've been kind of like, some Mondays, some Tuesdays. I'll be off a week. I want to be consistent and just do Mondays, 8:15 every Monday, and just talk football with you guys. And I appreciate you guys coming in and chatting it up and making it a lot more fun. So I appreciate it. So again, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, leave a comment, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.